Hello there. Okay, let me try this again here. As you can see here, I'm back out in the shop. I'm gonna try to wire it today, and I got a small fabrication job I got to do this week. One of the taxidermy uh, places here, they order a whole mess of antler pins from me every year. So this week I'll be probably doing that. Anyway, so it happened today that I seen it today while I was uh, having my morning coffee, and I decided, well, it's a video series I've been trying to put together for about a month now, and trying to figure out the best way to do it. So anyway, I'm gonna try it again. Here we go. How to open your own shop. That is a tough one. So I get up this morning and I'm having my morning coffee and I turn on the YouTube like I always do. That's when I watch the videos and make my comments mostly is first thing in the morning while I'm waking up. Uh, then I watch the TV for the weather. Anyway, so I'm watching that and I see Eric the car guy. Uh, if you haven't checked him out, ETCG1. Uh, Eric does great content. I highly recommend look him up, go give him a like and subscribe and that. He's a damn cool guy. Uh, anyway, quick shout out for you there and good luck, man. Anyway, I noticed on his video that he's going through it too. And I would have to say it's probably the number one killer of all shops. His he was renting. He was renting his shop. Uh, if you're looking to get into this and try to do it yourself, you want to open your own shop, everybody will do it. Everybody falls into the rent monkey. And like I said, over all the years, that's the biggest one that I see killing shops, putting people under, or the biggest hiccup you'll face in it. Now, when you're first getting started and you're looking around, or you're just out there, you're thinking about this, you haven't bought any tools yet or anything, you're just thinking about having your own shop. I mean, it's the dream of all of us is to work for ourselves and have our own say in, what we do. And, it's the nature of the beast. It's part of the business. We're independent. We like to work for ourselves. So anyway, my biggest advice in it, and it's the hard one, don't rent. Buy the dirt. If you own the dirt, they can't get rid of you. They can't raise your rent, and you will work for yourself. Um, if you're renting, you're not working for yourself. You're working for the landlord, who's going to be taking all your money, and it's a huge crutch to try to get over when you got that rent monkey on your back. Uh, Not only just in money, but it affects your head. And let's say you want a hot rod shop, rat rod shop, custom shop. You want to build custom cars and you want to have the freedom to be able to make, build, and design these things. One of the biggest ways to do that, like I said, is to have your own shop because your brain isn't constantly thinking about, uh-oh, I got to have $3,500 at the end of the month to give to the landlord or the shop goes under. You know, every reality show. We got to get this done or we're going to lose the shop. Well, you should have bought the dirt. Oh, now I realize that that's not going to be possible for a lot of people right out the get go where you're at. Um, I mean, that shuts most everybody down. So, in order to do it in the spirit of my channel, how to do it for as cheap as you possibly can and get the most out of the littlest investment, you're going to have to open your mind up to being able to move to another location. It might not be some place that you want to be, but it's a place you can afford to be. And trust me, when you get rid of that rent monkey and the dirt you're under is paid for and it's yours, the only bill you have is taxes and utilities. Utilities will follow you no matter what you're doing. You can be renting or you can be owning it. You could be making a, that's all going to be there. But if you can eliminate that mindset of, oh my God, I gotta have that money on the first, or they do. You will lose the shop. And anybody that's ever moved a shop, yeah, that's something you only want to do once in a lifetime, but you're gonna have to do it more. That moving a shop is probably the hardest thing you can do. For one, we collect a lot of stuff. And two, the stuff we collect makes us money. That's part of the business, it's part of the game. You got to have a lot of stuff. So you're going to need a lot of space. And if you're building your own shop, the rule of thumb is sit down and figure out exactly the square footage you're going to need and then double it. And that'll last you for 10 years before you're starting to add on. You can never have enough space. If you're building your own shop, take that into account that you're going to have to be able to expand later on. And you can do that either by, okay, this is what I got. When I get to that point, I'll just sell it and buy another one and start over again that way. That's a little tough because you'll have the banker man too. Um, but it's much better to make a mortgage payment or a bank payment than it is to pay a landlord, because everything you pay the bank, you know, you're not throwing that money away. At one point in time, that's going to be yours. So, anyway, how I did it, how we did it here. I followed my dad, like I do with everything. I mean, he taught me everything without ever teaching me. It just, I watched him. I My head is a sponge. It just soaks it in. So I learned without him even saying stuff, and I learned from his mistakes. And uh, Dad went into business for himself, well, as partners, back in 79, 78, 79 is when he made the plunge. And he left a very good paying job out at the nuclear site here. And because he's always been a mechanic, but instead of doing it on the side and on the weekends, uh, he made the plunge. Uh, the site out there is notorious for layoffs. They have lots of layoffs. If you work out there, you make big money for a while and then you get laid off, and then you work for a while and you get laid off. Well, during one of those voluntary layoffs, uh, he just didn't go back and he started his own. That's where it all started from. Back in, I think it was 78 or 79. Might even have been 80. I'm not sure. In that time, uh, all the way from there to 86, that's when he built his own. He didn't make any money. He went in the hole. A lot of it was a struggle. It was an extreme struggle. Not for lack of business. He built the business up to where the shop was making bank. Um, but the landlord was making the money. Of course, the landlord, the vampire trucks, tool trucks. I call them vampire trucks because I lived through it on the other side. And those guys, yeah. Back then you had to have them. Nowadays you don't have to have them quite so bad. You can buy specialty tools now. Back in those days, especially through the early 90s, when fuel injection computers first started to really get heavy, cars started to have a lot of special tools that you had to have. Well, the tool trucks were the only place you could get those tools. They were expensive and they offered easy on truck financing. And then they scoped you in with the tax write off. Yeah, it's all a tax write off. Don't worry about it. Blah, blah, blah. It's easy financing. So they get you sucked in. So you got the tool truck sucking away your money. You got the uh, landlord sucking away your money. It leaves you with very little. Uh, like I said, at about 84, 85, Dad had built the business right up. He had 5 guys working for him, 5 employees, uh, and banging. I mean, the shop was beyond busy all the time. You look at the books that the accountant was doing. That you got to do that too. You got to hire an accountant. Make it all legal. That's the other one. Don't float the gray area. The the gray area will get you shut down when you don't expect to be shut down. And then you're stuck with, oh my God, now I got to fix it. And I got to fix it in a hurry because I got bills to pay. Never float the gray area. Always black and white. And you got insurance and you got, I'm not bringing that up because that's all stuff you're going to have no matter if you own the dirt or if you don't own the dirt. If you rent, you know, you're going to have all of that. You got to pay an accountant. You got to pay the insurance, shop insurance, uh, you know, all of that. Join the bit. You got to have a business license, so you got to go into them. Everybody's going to be taking a piece of your pie. The number one that you can get rid of, though, is the landlord. But like I was saying there, that I'm going to have to edit back around to because it's 14 minutes now. In order to do that on the cheap side, you're going to have to get creative. You're going to have to look at places you probably didn't expect, or you might have to just pull up stakes and move cross country. Maybe your state just, I'm sorry to say it, but there's some states that are just damn near impossible to have a hot rod shop in. Uh, for one, they're expensive. The property, the properties there might be outrageous priced. The rules and regulations that goes with building a custom car might not fit the state you're in. Uh, the state that you're in. Uh, I live here in Idaho, where everybody says, "Oh yeah, it's easy, it's great." There's a county here that it's not. I mean, it's totally out of the question. There's guys that are doing it there, but it's expensive. And it's Ada County. I personally, I would never open a custom shop in Ada County, uh, and especially within Boise city limits. That's where Boise is. It's the only one that they emission test. That's the first red flag. And Bonneville County, I won't do it in Bonneville County because they're very strict on the. Uh, it's harder to title abandoned cars in Bonneville County. And again, I do everything black and white, no gray, because I learned, just like Eric just learned, if you float into that gray area, boom, things can come at you sideways. And if you know you're in the gray, you're always thinking about that gray. So, go black, look total black and white when it comes to the laws and everything. Become a business. You want to be in business for yourself? Be in business for yourself. Don't take a half step. If you're going to make the plunge, do it. Uh, like Bukowski says, if you're going to roll the dice, do it. Don't go halfway. And it's easy to do it in the beginning. Sometimes it's hard and as you go, because you'll get comfortable with it and then it'll hit you sideways. So when you go out and you start looking for where to open your shop, look into all of, first figure out what it takes to legally open a business. Put that all in a game plan. Then you go looking at the counties, the cities, the towns that you want to build your shop. Or are there shops already there? Are there houses with a shop? Uh, you know, Start looking into that. Uh, Zone it. I cannot stress that one enough. Uh, when my dad opened his own shop on his own dirt and he built his own place, before he even looked to where he's going to place it, he looked into zoning it. And he went before the city council, the town council, I guess you'd call it. The little town is only 250 people, if that. But the first thing he did is had it rezoned for automotive commercial. Very important. And he knows, because he's been through it, that sometimes you got to tow a customer's car in. So he already had it in the makings that day one to zone it for towing as well. And he took it before the city, they got it approved. He was zoned. Like I said, very, very important, because that has come back on him. Oh, in the beginning, it was almost monthly. People would, if people think they're charging you too much, they'll try to get at you. If people don't like you, they'll get at you. You move into your hometown where you've already got some hometown rivals in there, people you didn't like in high school, people that just didn't like you, they're going to come at you. I don't want to get into religion, but if you don't join the church, they're going to come at you. And the number one way that they'll come at you is through zoning. I mean, there's other businesses in that town, and Some of them are floating the gray. They're just doing it out of their garage on the side. But in that gray area, they don't have the freedom to do what they can do. They have to do it according to that gray so the gray doesn't turn black on them, if you know what I mean. Dad, like I said, day one, before even marked out where the shop was going to be, had it rezoned, uh, paid for the survey, everything. All this stuff that everybody around, even his accountant, told him, you can kind of fudge some of this stuff until you get rolling and get an income coming in and get it rolling that way, and then just as you go, you can do it. He was smart. He did it right off the bat and paid for all of it right off the bat. Had his business license, you know, anyway, that's the number one thing that has come at him all through the years of being there. Uh, I mean, one of his faithful customers from the city was pissed off because he moved, didn't want to make the drive now to where Dad had moved to. So this faithful customer that always said thank you, he was a great guy, smiled, everything, turned Dad in for zoning to try to get him to move back into the city. Be careful of that. Like I said, that's the one that will hit you sideways from weird ways. People trying to be nice will hit you with it. So anyway, find you a piece of property. Make sure it's zoned right. If it's not zoned right, make it zoned right. It's easy to do in the beginning, but once you get started and you've established on there, that can cost you more because it's an established and thriving thing. Then the county, the city, the town, the state knows they can get more money out of you. It's bare dirt when you go in there. It ain't worth anything. So you can get it zoned pretty cheap. There's a lot less things you have to do right then and there. So you just drop the cash, you have it done. Uh, and again, this depends on your state, your county, your town, everything. And you'll find it different everywhere you go. Even if it's in the same state, even if it's in the same county, you'll find it's totally different. That's why my shop is not in Idle Falls because, okay, I gave it up. That's the city that's closest to me because there you have multiple inspectors, multiple. Idle Falls is kind of wants to be its own county, its own state. So they have their own everything that you have to comply with. On top of that, you got county rules and regulations you got to apply by, you know, and then you got the state laws and regulations you got to. So you got a whole bunch of things going on. So when I decided to open to get this shop, I wanted it in the county, not in a town, not in a city. I'm actually county. So I only have one government entity that I have to worry about. As you can see, it's just bare bones. It's not insulated, it's not wired, it's not nothing. It's all stuff I have to do. And I've been using it basically as a garage. It's not a shop, it's a garage. It's a storage unit because of that. And I didn't start doing any of this to it until it was paid for. We wiped it out. Now this place is 100% ours. All we got to do is pay taxes on it. And all the hidden taxes like water rights and all of that, irrigation water rights, you have to pay those every year. But don't get discouraged on that because that stuff you have to pay anyway. It's all part of your rent. You hope. Some places are tricky. They only charge you the rent. which is property taxes are part of rent. That's why your rent goes up. The landlord just passes that to you, and you know you have to pay for your own utilities. Here, I'm lucky. We have a well and a septic, so I don't have to pay city water or city. Uh, I don't have a city bill for my water and sewage. Um, so, but there's a drawback on that too. If anything goes wrong, I have to pay for it. So if my water line breaks, if my well quits working, I have to pay for it. The city don't, the county don't. You're on your own. So there is that. But out here, like I said, I've only got one government entity. Well, you know, directly involved in me. I don't have the town. That's one that I can eliminate by being in the county. When we went on the search for properties. Uh, we had because this is my goal is to open a hot rod custom shop. So it had to be zoned. That number one. I went looking for zoned properties for commercial. Makes it real easy to switch it to automotive commercial. I mean, it was under $1,000 to have this place switched. Um, I wanted residential on it as well. And we got lucky with this place. It was split three ways. Um, it's residential, commercial, and agricultural. The third is it had to have acreage because I know doing this kind of work, you need space, um, especially if you're doing it on the cheap. You're going to need a lot of space. Parts cars take up room, and you can't stack cars up in a residential. If you're residentially zoned, I mean, I don't know of how many shops I can count from, again, IF that were shut down because they had too many cars out front. Uh, so they come in, they check, hey, you're running a business out of here. It's residential. It goes back to that one. That's the big one. So I had to have acreage and I had to have the right zoning and a place to live. And if you live where you work, there's tax write-offs, tax incentives on, doing it that way. And I looked into it. You got to look into it on, like I said, and every area is different. So I checked it out, and for everything that we are doing, the cheapest way of doing it, this place was worked great. And it's not the easiest place to find. It's, but I'm doing custom and hot rods. So I really don't want a high, location. Well, my location means I don't need the foot traffic. So I can step away from that. Uh, Custom shops, you know, the truth being told, a custom car takes a long time to build. No matter how many guys you got working on it, there's still a lot of hours on it. If you got a team of 10 guys on it, you can have 1,000 hours in that in a hurry. You know, generally speaking, every custom car takes at least a year to do, minimum of a year to do. So, you're not turning fast, but when you turn at the end, you got to be able to, that's your money there at the end. So look at the kind of business that you're trying to open up and what kind of business you're trying to do. Repair is different. If you're getting into it to have a repair shop or auto body collision shop, those are different. You do that month to month. Custom shops, you, you're paid. You're paid like a farmer. You don't get paid until you harvest. So you got to kind of have that mentality. So look at what kind of shop you're going to build. Open your mind on location. Unless you need the foot traffic, you need cars driving by, you need that free advertisement of being right there in the where everybody sees you. Unless you need all of that, don't do it because those are expensive places to be. They're in towns, cities. You're going to have more people, more entities on top of you. So just be prepared for that. And once you get rolling, uh, like I said with my dad, all that time from the day he opened, all the time he was in IF, he never made any money. We struggled, hardcore struggled all through those years. Um, you're forced to do the bill shuffle. Throw them in the hat, you pull every bill out until the money's gone, and then those guys have to wait till next month. Then next month you pay those ones, so this one can ride for a month. When you're struggling, you do what you got to do to survive because the landlord was taking all the money. When he built his own shop, uh, there's a rule of thumb that when you open your own business, it takes 5 years to turn a profit on it. When he built his own, working for himself, only him after that. He didn't have any more employees. Uh, he had me when I was there. About this time, I started to go off and do my own thing. But once he got in there, got the rent monkey off his back, he made money. Then he started to make good money. Then there at the end, when you know, he was able to. He says he didn't retire until a little bit ago, but he actually retired when we had he had the money to build a monster truck. When he built the monster truck, he pretty much retired after that. The shop was no more after that because he actually had money, uh, which goes with that. Once you eliminate that rent monkey, um, and you're able to pick and choose what jobs you want to do, uh, my dad became the nicest guy you would ever meet in your life once he got was free of that. He didn't have that always in his head. Uh, could actually afford to go out to eat every, maybe once a month to every weekend once that all happened. Uh, he was able to do jobs that he wanted to do instead of jobs he had to do. There's other repair shops around town, and I'll tell you, some of the, I'm not going to mention any of them, but some of them, they weren't quite so good. They had other guys working for them, and you're always at the mercy of your employees. So we did a lot of work that, was kind of substandard on that other end. But we never talked bad about each other. And if there was stuff that we couldn't do, we'd send them over there. Uh, that shop is mostly heavy equipment and diesel and stuff like. We're not a diesel shop. Dad was able to specialize after that. It was automotive. Uh, and he got into fabrication because he's always been a fabricator. So we were kind of known as that side of it. Uh, there's a service station uh, in town here, the little town of 400 people. that's on the highway. Um, there's a shop there that he's very good with computer stuff. So anything really new, you send them to him. Anything that's still carbureted, he would send up to us. Um, you know, you never talk bad about your competition because your competition is not your competition. If you get in tight with that community there, you know, jobs will come around and it'll keep you going. But anyway, my biggest thing on how to start your own shop, you want to get out on your own, don't do the rent, do everything you can to bite the bullet and buy the dirt under your feet. Once the dirt under your feet is yours, um, again, I didn't start any work in here. I let this become just a storage unit full of boxes of stuffed animals that haven't seen daylight in 10, 15 years. I don't care because I wasn't using this shop for anything until the mortgage was gone. Now that the mortgage is gone, I have free reign in here. So I did it that way to, like I said, to eliminate anything that comes along in the end. And now it's ours. So now I can take the money that I was paying for, mortgage instead of sending it to the bank. Now my bank is here. This, you know, all of this is the bank. I take that money now and goes into here, buying wiring, buying insulation, buying, everything else that I need that way now. It's the long way to do it, but it's the right way to do it. And if you can get to that and you can do that, like I said, it might not be right where you want it to be. You might not be on the corner of First and Main in your city. It might be 30 miles outside of town out on a county road. It might be in the next state over, or it might be clear across country. But if that's what you want to do, it's much easier to do it within the confines that you're already existing than it is to try to change those confines or try to mold yourself into a hard situation, if that makes sense. Um, if it's hard to build cars, uh, I'll just take a, I don't know the rules, I don't know the regulations, but I'll just pop one out of the top of my head. I'll say Brooklyn, New York. If it's hard to get it, to own it, and be legitimate and get to the point where you're not paying the banker, you're not paying anybody, if it's hard to do it there, don't do it there. If if you sit down and you say, I can't do that because where I'm at, I can't do that, then go someplace where you can do it. If that's what you want to do, you know. And I hear it over and over again on the hot rod market. A lot of guys will say, well, I can't do that here because I can't get cars like that there. Well, go where the cars are. You know, it is possible that you can do it there, but you're going to have to pay shipping. You're going to have to go to where the cars are to get them, to bring them back to you, to customize them, to restore them, to do all of that. You know, if you want to do it where you're at, you're going to have to accept the limitations or the expenses of where you're at. And if it's going to take you 50 years to turn a profit where you're at, then go to some place where you can turn a profit in 2 years. You know, that's the best advice I can give anybody looking to build their own shop and you want to get your own shop going. Open your mind to where I can be, how I can do it, and if I can't do it where I'm at, I'll do it. I'll move to where I can do it. You know, I, and don't try. uh, you can try. You can fight the government. You can try to fight the laws. You can try to, you know, prime example, Detroit needs help. Uh, Detroit City is in, you know, you see how bad it is there. There is cheap property there. You could do this there if you're willing to take the risk to do it, you know. Trying to do this in downtown Manhattan, New York City, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really, really hard. And if you waste all your time and money trying to change the laws, change your environment to fit you, it's just money you could have been spending in a mortgage payment somewhere else where it's easier to do it anyway. Uh, when it comes to the cars, yeah, there's places where there just isn't any of these. That's where you sell them because it's hard to do it there. People aren't doing it there. Um, I hear over and over again, you know, oh, we're in the Rust Belt. We don't have any old cars here left. And when you do, you find them, they're expensive. Yeah, that's where I'm selling them. Where I live is where I buy them. And yeah, I can pick them up for $200 to $1,500. I can't sell them here. If I sell them here, I go broke. So yeah, you know, and sometimes I got to bring in two, three, four parts cars to make one work, you know, to get one done that I can send out. Well, then I only pay shipping on one. I've got the others here that I just go pick up, drag home, throw them on a trailer, and be home. A lot of them are 20 minutes away, you know, but I can't sell them here because there's no market here for them because you can buy them here. Anybody can. I'm not saying me, you know, I just happen to know where they are. These people advertise, you know. I get a lot of them off Facebook and Craigslist right here. You know, it's public advertising. But I throw 10, 15, 20,000 into one. Around here, a completed one is going for 10. You know, do the math. I'll go broke here selling them for that. So I got to send them to places where you can't do it for that cheap. You can, but the same car here that is, you know, built, ready to go for $15,000, that same car where, you know, you don't find them anymore, that same car is going to go for 70 because they don't have them. And if you try to make them there, you know, you see my point. So that's my tidbit on how to build a hot rod shop and how to do it on the cheap. Buy the dirt. Start with dirt. If you start with rent, you'll never get it done. All you're going to do is pay the landlord's bills and you work for him without any benefits. You don't even get unemployment insurance paid. You're just paid, you're just giving your money to him. And like what happened with Eric, him and his landlord are super tight over at Eric, the car guy at ETCG1. You know, very good guys, good friends, everything. Somebody came in and bought the shop, offered the guy too much money. He would have been stupid not to sell it. So now Eric's got to get out after all that he done in there. You know, that's the most common question, you know, hiccup in doing all of this is you lose your shop. Sometimes it's not even anything you did, you know. Some shops, you know, they pay, oh, I got my rent paid, you know, 4 months in advance. I don't have to worry about that. I'm paid up for 6 months. Yeah, then property sells. Well, you can stay there for the 6 months, then you got to get out because new landlord takes over. That has happened more than once. Or landlord just, when your lease is up and it's time to re-sign the lease, they double your rent. That's what happened to Dad. Shut the shop down. You know, it's all up to you on how you want to do it, but the easiest way to do it is to do the hard part first. And that's get the dirt and go black and white, no gray. And the rest is gravy. After you get over that hump in the beginning, the rest is all yours. So, good luck out there, and I hope you make it. Meantime, get that metal hot. I'm going to get to work.